Hello guys and welcome to another tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to be talking a little bit about Pandas and Matplotlib. We're going to make some simple graphs and I'm going to show you how to use the data frames. So let's get started right here. I'm going to edit my py file with idle, and right here we're importing all the stuff that we need. Pandas as PD, Matplotlib everything, matplotlib.pyplot as plt so we can refer to it easier, and style from Matplotlib. Because we want to use 538. It is the most famous one and it looks nice. Then we have our data frame right here. The data frame is just a set of data that is nicely structured and you can fit in a lot of stuff into it. But most importantly, we have our index here and our data. So index can be something that you're going to align the data to. So it can be like years. So this can be like 2001, 2002, 2003, and so on. But in this case, they're just numbers that are nicely aligned. Right here we have the same amount of numbers here and here. So we have entries that refer to our index, and our index is going to be our x-axis and entries are going to be our y-axis. And then we're printing our data frame just so we can see it, how it looks before we plot it. And then now right here we're using our PLT from Matplotlib in order to plot our data. We're plotting it right here and here. These are just adding the title so it looks nicer. So let's say our entries are not number of website visitors. Let's say our entries are kills in a video game. And let's say our label here is our index, which is our round. And now let's plot this. So before we get into this, let me just show you. Right here we have our entries sorted out nicely by our indexes, so that looks pretty good. But you're probably wondering why we don't have a title on indexes. Well, once you set an index using Pandas and Matplotlib, and you print it out like this, it's mostly going to be gone. Or if it has a specific title, the title is going to be a little bit down, and this is going to be a little bit up for some reason. Well, it's just like that. And then let me show you our graph, and there it is. So that's our graph. Now it says kills in a video game and round. And right here you can use these tools to zoom it out. If you have more graphs, you can use these. If you want to pan, you can use this. You can go left and right, up and down. And if you want to zoom in, you can use this. So let's zoom into this part. You can also configure your subplots here, and you can save them as an image. And you can go back to your home original view. There we go. Now let's turn this off and let's go to the second one. Edit with idle. And now let's take a look. So right here we have a good example of merging data. So how are we merging data? Well, we have two data frames right here. We're not going to plot these. We have our data frame which consists of year right here and year right here. So we have a year. We can merge by year because they're the same name and they have some same years. If they were any different, there will be missing data, or at least it would look really weird, but there will be mostly missing data. And then we have games won and money gained, and then we have games lost here and money spent. So let me just show you if we merge these two together using this command on year and how outer. Well, if you know SQL, you're going to know that outer merging looks the same as SQL. You also have inner, which will fill out inner data. So basically outer will include the data that is not here. So let's say we have 2005 right here and right here we don't, and it's going to include that as well. So right here, as you can tell, it looks amazing. It looks actually pretty good. Everything is sorted out, everything is joined perfectly. Then we have our years here. Games won, game lost, and it merged by year. However, if we do 2005 right here and 2004 right here, it's going to look different. As you can tell, this is the difference between there. This is the difference between outer and inner. So now if we do, as you can tell, 2005 doesn't have games lost and money spent, and this one doesn't have games won and money gained. But if we do inner here, it's going to join just the inner stuff. So as you can tell now, we don't have 2004 and 2005, so it just joined what it can. Right here joined everything, even though there's some not a number missing data. So let's leave it to outer, and let's pull this back to 2004 so it looks nicer. Now let me just explain what we did here. So we set an index to what we merged. So as you can tell, we already have year here and here, and it's pretty much going from down to up. So it's a good thing to use as an index. It's nicely sorted out. So we just set the index year in place equals true. You want to put in place equals true even when you're filling out missing data as well. And then you have print video game stats, and then we have our merged. Alright, so that's how you merge data, and I think that's really relevant. And here's an example of a big no-no for plotting. Yes, this happened to me once. Yeah, it's not really great. You have to be really careful with setting your indexes and making sure that everything looks nice. It's going to take a while for you to be really good at this. And then we have views.csv right here, and we can edit this so I can just show you. Actually, let's edit it in Notepad++. Okay, so as you can tell, I made a simple CSV file. I wrote it myself. We have days, months, and views. So what do you think we can use as an index here? Well, the perfect thing to use as an index here is the day. So we're going to use that. Why? Well, because we have month, and month is always the same, so there is no point here. And we have views that are different, so views are going to be our y. Okay, so let's put this into our py file. And right here we're importing all of our stuff. We're importing CSV as well because we want to read our CSV file. And Pandas SPD, style, blah, blah, blah. You can use 538, let's use it, why not? And then we have our list. Now, of course, there's a way smarter way to do this, but this is really simple for me. With open views CSV as a CSV file. So we're opening our CSV file as a CSV file so we can refer to it later, putting it into a variable. And then we have our CSV reader equals CSV reader CSV file, which is here, and our delimiter is going to be comma. And then why? Well, because it's a CSV. And then we can do a line count equals 0. Why? Well, because we're going to have to count the lines. And then we have for row in CSV header, we're going to if line count equals 0, which means if it's our first line, the line that has the column names, we're going to print the column names are the column names. And then what does this first thing do? Well, right here we're printing our column names, and right here we are making our line count +1. So we can go to the next line. And then we're putting all of that to else. We're using try here. Why try? Well, because once it gets to a certain point, it's just going to be like, well, we don't have row 0 and row 1 and row 2 because it's going to be done. And then instead of that, we don't want it to say that and drop us an error. Instead of that, we want it to say done. So we're printing every row, every day, every month, and every view. And then we are appending all of that to our day, row 0, which is our day. So on row 0, there's going to be days, and when it goes through the loop, it's going to include every day. So it's going to append a row day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and so on and so on. And then views append, we're appending our views. We're not appending months because we don't need that, and they're going to, everything of that is going into these lists. And then we're adding the line count as well because we have to do that. And let me just show you what it looks like without this exception. Okay, there you go. So it says list index out of range. So it is done. It read everything we had, but it also dropped an error. So what we want to do is we want to indent this, we want to add our try, and we want to uncomment our accepts. There we go. And then once we run it, okay, so what we did here is we printed out all of our data and set down for our exception. Now we added all of this to the data frame with views being our views and day being our index, which is our day. Right here you can sort your values by views, ascending, and you can also sort your index, ascending. But we don't have to do that because we already have everything sorted. And then we're printing our data frame, which looks like this again. As you can tell, the index is already gone. And then we are putting the label on our y-axis, views, and on our x-axis, day. And then we're putting the title to our whole graph, website views per day, January 2019. And then we can plot this by views, or we can scatter it. Now, if you plot it, it's going to be like lines, and if you scatter it, it's going to be dots. And then right here, we can save our image with this command, and right here, we're showing it. So first, let's scatter. Let me just show you what that looks like. Here's a scatter. As you can tell, it looks pretty nice. All the data is pretty much visible, and you can zoom in again, as I said, and take a look at specific data. 250 is 10, and that's true. Alright, so that went pretty well. And we can also do our plot. And there we go. There is our website views per day. It looks like lines. Of course, this is here, don't worry. It's just when it's minimalized, it doesn't appear. And now let's save this. And we're going to make sure that our B-box inches are tight, which means it's going to fit nicely this whole thing, the day and views as well. So now they're saved. You don't see it, but once you go to the map, they're going to be saved. There you go. Look at that. That's a pretty good graph. Not the greatest quality, but it doesn't really matter. Alright, that's it. Thank you so much for watching and have a nice day.